With the addition of Notion's chart features, we can now create interfaces that are very game-like and help motivate us to do the things we want to do, implement different aspects of gamification to help us do things like our habits. So today, I'm going to go through and show you how I built this habit tracker dashboard that will show you the progress that you've been making in relation to your habits in a day-to-day basis, while also keeping it kind of gamified, letting you just interface with the buttons and not have to worry about the back end once you've set it up. So to start off with, what we're going to be doing is actually creating the habit tracker database itself. So what it looks like is this. It is a simple database that has certain functions. The first thing is a date function. And this is literally a date property that you just choose which day. So right now, this one's selected for today, and that's something we can automate. I'll show you that in a little bit later once I've gone through all these things. Next, we're actually just going to be setting up the main habits we want to track. Now, when I was creating my real life RPG system, I was looking into a lot of the mentalities behind overwhelmingness and being able to do things while still making it achievable on a day-to-day basis. And I found that there is a Goldilocks number when it comes to habits that's around 3 different things. Now, the reason behind this is because personally I found that when there is a psychological number that you want to go to, there is this aspect of you want to go 5 plus or minus 2, so 3, 5, 7. They're usually numbers that stick with people a lot better. And when it came to habits, I wanted it to be an achievable thing that showed that you can still have progress each day while not making it overwhelming, like you had to do 11 things in a day. So I personally, when making habits, try to stick to doing 3 a day. And I found that that's a good amount for me. So I, in here, have just created 3 different habits. So run, meditate, and cook dinner. And that way we can go through, and if we've done something for the day, we can tick it off and make sure that we've done that. So when we want to look at the next section, we're actually looking at the daily progress, and there's a little bit of a formula that we're creating here. Now, when looking at this, the main function is that we're taking each of those checkboxes that we've created here in run, meditate, and cook dinner, adding them together, and then turning them into a property that will see how many are checked out of the overall amount. So what we're doing is we're taking each of these properties, adding a toNumber function. So .toNumber effectively takes a checkbox value and it will turn it into either a 0 or a 1. It will be 0 if it is unchecked, it will be a 1 if it is checked. So what this is doing is simply adding each of these together, and then the round function is then taking that number and dividing it by 100, which you can see, times it by 100, which you can see over here. So it is effectively 300 right now, if all of them are checked. Then it's going to round that number so that it sticks with the 3, and then dividing it by 100 so we know how much we're actually doing here. So right now you can see I have 2 of these buttons checked and it's 2 out of 3. I have 1 of these and it's 1 out of 3. And then same with 3 out of 3 and 0 out of 3. And that's just a way that we can show the daily progress, and I'll get to that in a second. Next is just the naming of the actual thing. We can't delete this property, which does make it a little bit annoying. So I just write habits and then leave that as it is. Now over here is where it starts getting fun, because I have a couple different properties that help me sort the data so that I can then create those charts after the fact. The first is the today function, and what this does is it is simply grabbing the date, which we assigned at the beginning, and formatting it so that it's set to a format which turns the numbers of year. So in this case, it would be 2024. The month, so in this case, it would be 08. And then the day, so today would be the 20th. So it will be 2024-0820. And that's just a number. And then likewise, we can get the format of the same type of today. And that way we have 2 different numbers because we're turning them into numbers. And if they are the same, so if the date that is set here is set to today, we can say true and false. Now, there's other ways to do this that are more simple, but the reason why I do this is because once you have the formula for one day, you can also go over and check if the formula is working for the month by just removing those day tags at the end there. And this whole thing will be available. Click the link in the description below. You can get the whole database. But what we do with this now is we can check to see if something is today or this month. We can check the habits on a weekly basis. I personally don't like doing that. I like having the view of today's progress and then the overall month progress, because throughout a week, we miss one day and it starts to get like a very glaring, oh, you missed this day. Whereas over a month, it shows you, okay, you can make this sort of impact, but it won't have an overall sort of doom and gloom. Most of it's gone because it is a larger amount that you're working through. And that way that number will also grow as the month goes on. And finally, we have these little things, and these are decoration buttons. So the first thing is actually what I call the tags. Now, looking back over on this interface, these are the tags right here. So run, meditate, and cook dinner. And you'll see right now, each of them are red. And once I press the done button for, say, running, it turns to a green. Now, this is just basically playing around with the Notion system so that it has a little bit of decoration. The basic of it is using the style property. So you can see that right here. I just add this just in case there's a whole problem as to why it isn't showing up. So I've had problems in the past. I just put that there as a safety thing. You probably don't need that there. So when I'm creating a style function, I'm simply checking if the tag that we're looking for, so in this case, the run, which is this column over here, if it is checked, so if it is the to number equal to 1, then either show it as a tick, but if it is not 1, so if it is 0, show this red square. And then here is just styling. So it is basically adding the tick box, a space, and then writing the word run, grabbing that word run, making it bold, putting it in white, and then adding a gray background. And this just adds a little bit of nice little formatting so you can kind of see the tag itself stand out. And then once that's done, we have this little tag that will automate it for all. And then we just have to have a button that is going to be, I call it the whatever the property is, and then button, labeling it as done with a check mark. And then when button is clicked, edit this page. So the entry that it's on, which is going to be whatever day is being entered, and then turn the run function to a tick. And we do that for each of the different properties here. So meditate, cooking, whatnot. So that when we go back into this interface, we have these buttons that are basically, this is a gallery interface that is using the today function. So if it is ticked, to format it so that we only have one entry in here at all times. And it's going to be today's function. Now, let's say you don't have any different interfaces. Well, up here in the actual month interface, we're going to click on here and we're going to create a new habits template. So you just press the new template button and you'll get an interface. That interface will look like this. We're just going to write habits at the top part and we're going to set the date to today. Other than that, everything else is the same. We're done editing that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click on edit this template. So the three dots, let me scroll up the page a little bit so you can actually see it there. So we're going to be pressing the three little dots here on edit this template and then go repeat every day. And what this does is it just creates a new entry every single day, setting the date property to today, which then the filter on the daily interface will pick up and go, okay, that's the only one I'm showing. And that's the only interface that I'm going to be showing here. Likewise, I also like to have a filter here where this month is checked. The same as for the daily interface, it's just the is today. And that is actually the main aspect of how this interface runs. That's all the functions that you need in order to make it run. Up the top here, we just have some fun little uses of the new Notion charts. So starting off, we have, I'll chuck it to full width so you can start seeing what I've done here. So up here in run this month, basically all I've done, now I'm gonna have to zoom out to actually show you the button I want, is I have a filter for this month is checked. And then all I'm doing is I'm changing the layout to a chart, making sure it's a donut. I'm shooting for whatever property or habit I'm trying to track. So in this case, it's run. And then counting that with the sorting by, that should be there as well. Sorting by manual with both of the things visible. Then I choose a color. So for this case, I'm choosing red. I like choosing the single colors. That way I can help sort, because also the colorful one just looks ugly to me right now. Hopefully we get more control over the actual color schemes in the future, but hey, that's a pipe dream. Then in the more style options, I have it set to small, turning off the 2 first, but leaving legend on, and then data labels off. And that way we just have a nice little interface that shows a circle, which shows the progress. So I've run each day, so it shows nothing but the circles. If I untick that one, you'll see it actually creates a little aspect up here that shows you, oh, I didn't run today. And then down the bottom, it actually further describes what you're selecting, as into like the bigger section is run. The smaller section is no run. If you actually hover over it, you'll see that there is a slight difference in the color that pops up in the donut. And then, yeah, finally, we do that for each of these, just creating a 3-column section, creating new ones for each, focusing on whatever the habit is. And then when we go down, I also have a daily progress tracker. So this is simply just another chart that's using the line graph function. It's using the day of today, so date, so it's showing a day-to-day progress. Sorting from old to new, so it's going from like the last Friday one all the way up. I don't want to omit 0 values because I want to see the days where I haven't done anything, like today. So right now, there's no values here, and I can see that. I can see, oh, I need to make progress today if I want that bar to go up. Then, what to show, so on the left here, is simply the daily progress thing. So this little function up here, we're just showing that one, in not grouping by anything, and we're also making sure that it's not cumulative. So what cumulative does is if you tick that, it's going to say, oh, it's going to add every time you add something to it. If you want to show that sort of progress, absolutely go for it. I like to show the actual progress each day to show, oh, well, last Sunday I didn't really do anything. Maybe I should pay attention to that sort of thing. Color, again, I like the color orange as just like the overall theme. In more style options, I have it set to height small, grid line horizontal, axis name none, smooth line off, gradient area on, legend off, and data labels. And you can go through and click each of these, show what they do, and it's mainly just a visual thing. So if these are aspects that you like, maybe you like seeing, okay, I did one habit on that day, you can have that data labels on. Again, what I recommend is take this, play around with it, and see what works for you, because although I enjoy making these interfaces, I also love being able to see what people do with them. And finally, to make sure that I actually am keeping this progress so it doesn't get like fully outblown to be like, oh, here's a year's worth of habits. I'm just once again clicking that filter of this month is checked. And again, you can make a different aspect in here where it is changing this month. So you can create another one where it's this year. And all you have to do is just remove those M's from in there. Nope, that is not what I want. Don't want to magnify it. And just playing around with it like that. So that is how you can make, effectively, a quick little gamified interface that you can play around with. So I like mine in the thinner interfaces, so not the full width. And that's purely because I enjoy the interfaces that I can look at a glance on my side monitor. So yeah, that is the habit tracker. Again, if you want access to this, feel free to download it in the link below. Likewise, if you want to see this sort of interface in a full spectrum, go check out the real life RPG system that uses this effectively like this whole interface right here, minus the charts. But I do have some plans to integrate that going forward in one of the DLC upgrades. But anyway, if this is of interest to you, feel free, like and subscribe, because I'm making these sorts of videos 2 times a week. So if that seems of interest to you, again, I'd love to have you along for the journey. Also, show me what you guys do with this. Once you download it or once you've used these techniques, send me a link to what you've created, because I would love to see what we collectively can make with this sort of thing and turn our lives into video games where we are enjoying it a lot more and making progress towards the goals we want to achieve. So yeah, once again, thank you again for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in the next video.